What truly is the worst wrestling television episode of all time? Well, that is what I'm here to find out on this series. It's the How Bad Can It Be belt. Smack yourself one until it's felt. Last time out, we crowned a brand new champion, which was an episode of TNA from March 23rd, 2017. I admit, my choice there was more of a personal gripe, as for me it was the show that finally made me quit watching TNA. It marked the end of the company as a competitor, and it was now nothing more than a standard indie with a TV deal. I hated it, but I get that not all of you will feel the same way. Was I just being selfish? So, I thought the best thing to do was to see how it stacks up against an episode of WCW Thunder, which also caused a lot of people to quit watching. This is Thunder from the 26th of April 2000, which came from a YouTube comment from Milk Drinker. And of course, if you know a worse episode of wrestling for the How Bad Can It Be belt, smack it down in the comments till it's felt. Yeah, this entire month of WCW is a dumpster fire, but this episode is renowned for what happens at the end of the show. But was the entire thing bad, or was it just the ending which offended people? This one takes place from Syracuse, New York, in front of a whopping crowd of 1,200. A limo pulls up and it's the leader of the Grey Crew, Eric Bischoff, David Arquette, and a wild Slapnuts appears.
Jeff Jarrett.
They manhandle David Arquette to the ring. Slappy is livid because DDP took his title and Slappy blames David Arquette for that. Jarrett threatens to snap his neck, which causes DDP and Canyon to rush out. They're warned not to come any nearer or Jarrett will snap Arquette's chicken neck. Jarrett demands a world title shot tonight or he'll end Arquette's life. But for some reason, Jarrett demands a tag match for the world title. Jarrett and Bischoff versus Page and Arquette. Douglas and Bagwell appear on the ramp about to beat down Canyon and Page, but then Flair and Luger teleport behind them and take them out. It turns into a fun but short brawl. Page confronts his wife Kimberly, who smacks him in the nutsack. No answer was given about if the world title tag match was even going to take place tonight. In the back, Mean Gene meets with the dancing Cat. Mean Gene tells the Cat Russo and Bischoff are unhappy with him. Cat says to hell with WCW, he just wants to dance. Yeah, pretty much sums up the product at this point. Somewhere else, David Arquette is kept hostage in a boiler room. Out walks the Cat now. God, this guy makes me want to smack my screen. People just want to see him dance, yet he was pushed like he was a serious threat. It's like if Scotty 2 Hotty was involved in main event storylines. He's going to have a match against Bam Bam Bigelow. The Cat grabs a mic and asks Bam Bam to forgive him and reveals Bam Bam is actually his hero. He says he doesn't want to face Bam Bam and he wants someone else. Then randomly he tells Bam Bam that he saw his mum out back and Bam Bam's tits were bigger than hers. Bad choice as Bam Bam throws him into the air. He ain't done and hits a back suplex. Now he takes forever fetching a steel chair for no reason at all. He has a tug of war with the referee and somehow this 140-pound referee wins the tug of war and then Bam Bam turns around and he has his face kicked off. That one kick from the Cat beats Bigelow in about a minute. Cat starts dancing again, which causes Bigelow to smack him one and leave. What a joke. A BMW pulls up and it's Kidman and Torrie Wilson. Back in the boiler room, Jarrett and Bischoff are still bullying David Arquette, who dumps in his nappy of fear. The in-ring work hasn't exactly been great so far, so they send out Sean Stasiak for some reason. They've been trying to push this guy lately. He takes on Chris Canyon. Hennig comes to commentary, presumably annoyed that Sean Stasiak is stealing his perfect gimmick. Stasiak quickly hits a fireman's carry slam. He doesn't make a pin and instead taunts the crowd, leading to Canyon almost rolling him up. Canyon is now fired up and he hits a net breaker. Stasiak no-sells that and gives him a beatdown in the corner. Out of nowhere, Chris Canyon hits a flatliner for the 3, ending the match in just a few minutes. Hennig rushes the ring and boots Stasiak in the ribs. Mike Awesome and Canyon also brawl. Awesome decides to powerbomb Canyon through the commentary desk. Well, that was a tad random. Diamond Dallas Page slowly comes to the rescue. He hits a diamond cutter on Stasiak, but Awesome runs away. These actions are apparently enough to annoy DDP, who grabs a mic and says that he agrees to the world title tag match tonight. Billy Kidman out for a promo now. Marvelous Mark Mero is shown sitting in the crowd. I'm sure he'll turn around the fortunes of WCW. Kidman says that he's put the Hulkster out of wrestling. He says he's not a flea market wrestler and he is in fact a massive draw. Kidman is very happy that Hogan's in hospital. He issues an open challenge tonight. Torrie can't wait to give somebody the kiss of death. The open challenge is answered by the immortal Horace Hogan. The crowd barely react to Hogan's nephew. Horace stacks him on the ropes and clotheslines him out of the ring. Horace drops him on a fence and gets him back in the ring where Kidman tries a comeback but catches a big boot to the face. Horace is a hawk on fire and clotheslines Kidman back out the ring again. He misses his charge into the fence and Kidman pushes him into the steps. Kidman starts doing Hogan chants. Now Billy Kidman snaps off a hurricanrana and an elbow drop. He heads up to the top, still doing Hogan impressions. He takes too long and misses his big splash. Horace is back in this thing and he hits a snap slam. The leader of the Grey Crew stomps to the ring. Hogan hits a gorilla press slam and a powerbomb, proving that sometimes you can powerbomb Billy Kidman. No pin is made, instead Hogan wallops Kidman with a steel chair. The ref doesn't give a damn. Horace hits another power move with the choke bomb. He still doesn't want to make a pin though, instead he gets the table. Are they seriously gonna do 2 table spot segments in a row? He tries to suplex Kidman through the table when Tori smacks him in the nutsack. Hogan no-sells it but takes too long deciding what to do with her. Bischoff takes out the referee with a kick to the gut and he hits Horace in the head with a chair. Kidman nails a bulldog through the table and Bischoff counts to 3. Tori gives Horace the kiss of death. I was actually enjoying this match. It was probably the most interesting Hogan's nephew's ever been, but now it's ruined. Yay, Tank Abbott is here, said no one. He slowly waddles out to the ring. The crowd chant Goldberg. Abbott tries to connect to his brain cells to come up with an insult to him. The best he can manage is Ghostberg, which gets 0 reaction. Abbott says he's had more fights than everybody in the building combined. He looks around the audience for somebody to beat up. His search leads him to find Mark Merrow. So now we have a sort of boxing match going on with no referee, but some dorks break it up. This leads to absolutely nothing, as Mark Merrow decided that he wasn't actually in a condition to make a WCW return. The Stinger is shown looking miserable, covered in tomato juice. Elsewhere, Dallas Page finds Arquette and frees him. Out next, it's The Wall. What? It's gonna be a tables match? They have to be joking. He takes on the miserable Icon Sting. He rushes to attack The Wall as WCW make a poorly timed cut to show footage of how Sting got covered in the red stuff in the first place. The Wall tries an early table power slam which is reversed and he's sent rolling. Sting gorms out and watches him from the ring. The Icon slowly attacks him on the apron with the Wall dangling precariously. Sting tries a sunset flip but botches it and falls to the mat. He tries once again and he fails once again. It appears that 3rd time's the charm here and Sting powerbombs the Wall through the table. A simply horrible 2-minute match. The Wall shows that he isn't hurt and together with Vampiro they attack Steve Borden. Sting beats them both up with ease. Wow, I was really intrigued to see Sting looking like this and then they have a simply horrible match. It killed any intrigue and why they've done another table spot is just baffling. Sting continues walking around miserably backstage. He looks like he's been hanging out with Angelina Love and Winter. Out to the ring next is Vince Russo, Shane Douglas and Buff Bagwell. Russo is described on commentary as the man who's turned around WCW. The leader of the New Blood has the mic. They run down Syracuse and Buff moves on to threaten Lex Luger. Shane Douglas also threatens Ric Flair. Douglas says this is a shoot and he's finally going to get what he's been waiting for his entire career, a pay-per-view match with Ric Flair. This brings out the Nature Boy and Luger. Russo and Bischoff security have surrounded the ring. The Nature Boy says Hogan is the man and Kidman is not. He dances and struts and says that he, Hogan, Luger and Sting built WCW. He calls Russo a mark and says Sting is the only franchise in WCW. It's a very well delivered passionate Ric Flair promo where he lists everybody he's wrestled in his career and no one else could possibly come close to him. The crowd sound their approval and the commentary are in disbelief about this man's passion. He ends up saying that if Russo interferes in the match, he'll have Russo in the ring for 5 minutes. Russo responds saying this is the part of the show where he's supposed to be a chicken shit heel. But no, he'd love to fight Ric Flair in the ring because now it's Russo's time. Luger also agrees to face him Bagwell on pay-per-view. He thinks Russo should show more respect to Ric Flair. Russo jokes that Lex only just about survived the car crash that was the Lex Express. He reveals that Lex doesn't even own Liz's contract because WCW does, and therefore Russo owns Liz. He instructs his security to go collect Liz, which leads to a big brawl. In the chaos, Russo carries Liz and his chicken arms to the back. Whoa, what a segment that was. That was actually an incredible promo from Ric Flair. And Russo, love him or hate him, he does deliver on the mic, and it was good to see some star power in this segment. It does feel like Douglas and Bagwell didn't really belong. They barely spoke. Russo did it all. That's the problem with this whole New Blood storyline. The two sides were not on a level playing field. In the back, Dallas is very upset about the health of his little friend David Arquette. Some cheesy music plays and out walks Sunny and Chris Candido. This music is poorly fitting because it sounds like a fat man falling down trombone. Sunny tries her best to look into it. Maybe she was high. She asks the crowd if they want to see what she's wearing under her robe. She does this weird thing with her voice where it keeps going up and down and she sounded like a man. She strips off her outfit, which is probably the most WCW could get away with at the time. It's about the same as lots of women wrestling nowadays. She'll be fighting Paisley, the wife of Booker T. Sunny takes her down straight away with a go behind. She celebrates and Paisley lightly throws her back to the mat. They start catfighting. Sunny chokes her out of a belt and then Chris Candido gets involved. Paisley smacks her in the slash zone and then Tammy just no-sells it and hits a stone cold stunner. Well, she would no-sell it, there's nothing dangling there. She randomly jumps off the top rope to the outside, mainly smashing into her own husband. This is also a ref bump. Candido's in the ring and Paisley smacks him in the slash zone. Tammy comes back in the ring where Paisley hits one of the worst handspring back elbows of all time. Just look at this thing, it's ridiculous. There's zero impact, the crowd boo and groan. She makes the pin, but there's no ref. Why is this still going on? Paisley reverses a slam into a DDT, and mercifully, it's over. I'm not sure why they tried to have an actual match between these two, this was random. Candido attacks the artist and DDTs him too. In the back, it's a confused looking Booker T. I don't blame him, I have no idea what's going on with this show. Major Guns tries to interview him about his match with Mike Awesome. Booker says that he's a nobody from the independent circuit, but he just might eventually make it in wrestling. Paige is still checking on David Arquette, who is convinced that he can take out Eric Bischoff. Booker T makes his way out looking incredibly generic. Here comes Big Mike Awesome. Before they can fight, Scott Steiner's music hits. He's unhappy because Booker attacked him on Nitro. Steiner is enraged, calling everybody white trash. He doesn't do anything yet, he just sits there with his 4 friends. In the ring, Awesome hits an overhead belly to belly as Steiner launches into a rant on commentary. He's going off at Hogan for no reason, which he was known to do around this time. He talks about how Hogan is being worried about his spot, or was it his age spot, his liver spot, or his non-athletic spot. Booker hits a diving kick and clotheslines Awesome out of the ring. He hits Awesome with a diving smack off the apron. Mike Awesome manages to hit Booker with a chair and into the steps he goes. Mike Awesome brings him back to the ring with a flying clothesline, but it's just a 2. He connects with another smack in the corner. This is a hard-hitting matchup. Awesome tries to make him tap for a while before Booker fights him off with a back suplex. There's the scissors kick, but no pin. Instead, Booker does a flapjack into a spinneroonie, which was yet to be called that at this point. Booker looks to fly now when Steiner clubs him with the US title belt. Mike Awesome picks him up and hits the running Awesome bomb, and that is a scary looking move to take. Steiner climbs back into the ring and puts Booker in the Steiner recliner. The Raging Cajun, Chavo Guerrero, Hugh Morris and Van Hammer all start attacking Steiner and Awesome. A good match, and Steiner on commentary is always going to be epic. A sit-down interview with the Shitman Fart follows. He says Hogan has been ducking him. Brett says he's the biggest name in wrestling and doesn't think it makes sense that he and Hogan haven't had a one-on-one match to find out who's the best. He says Bischoff promised him a match with Hogan if he signed with WCW. He says he'll only be happy when he gets Hogan in the sharpshooter. In the back, David Arquette agrees to stay in the back for the main event, but as soon as Page leaves, he just follows him. Slapnuts and Eric Bischoff in the main event feels like a massive step backwards. Page enters with Arquette and doesn't seem to care about him now. Arquette is scared of DDP's pyro. Much to DDP's annoyance, Kimberly is revealed to be the special referee. Bischoff starts hurling Arquette around on the outside. They quickly disappear to the back. In the ring, DDP hits a net breaker, but his wife doesn't want to count the pin. Paige also hits a set-out powerbomb, but once again, she won't count. Is this the hottest referee of all time? Jarrett makes a cover and she fast counts, but still just a 2. Jeff Jarrett now smashes him with a DDT and another fast count leads to another 2. Eric Bischoff returns on his own. I'm not sure why, but they suddenly decide to make tags. Bischoff kicks Page in the gut as the crowd come alive for DDP. Page makes a scruffy comeback as Arquette returns looking like trash. Page starts kissing his wife. Arquette spears Bischoff and makes a cover as Jarrett clocks DDP with the belt. Kimberly is distracted as another referee rolls into the ring and counts Arquette's pin for the 3. Even though he could clearly see Jarrett had made a pin too. David Arquette is crowned the WCW World Champion and people pelt him with trash. Page doesn't even care that he's just lost his title and he smiles like the cat that got the cream. And here we have one of the worst moments in WCW history, which many people say killed the company. A man who wasn't even a wrestler won the world title. A simply horrible moment in WCW history. But let the Hawk squawk at you and smack you in the gut. This moment did not kill WCW. The company was already in the turd zone, attendances were massively falling. Russo was here with all his craziness and their main stars were all aging. This was halfway through the year 2000. It had already gone wrong way before this. Arquette would only hold the title for 12 days before dropping it to Slapnuts after turning heel on DDP. And actually, I'm not going to dump on the man himself. He seemed like a really nice guy who donated much of his earnings to Owen Hart's family, Pillman, Droz and Bobby Duncombe Jr. He just shouldn't have been in this position in the first place. So that is the show, and I'm just going to come straight out and say it wasn't that bad. There was nothing boring about it. Does the New Blood storyline suck? Yeah. Were there bad matches on this show? Yeah. But that does not equate to this whole show being terrible. I've seen far worse episodes of WCW on this series alone. And that Ric Flair promo in the middle of the show was simply brilliant. So this is not the worst episode of WCW ever. But if you know a worse episode that should be on the How Bad Can It Be belt, smack it down in the comments until it's felt.